Do you see anything on the channel?
Just 1 second here. Oh, it shows. Well, I got the reminder. There's people waiting
Yeah, that's the problem.
at our event.
Yeah, you know what? So it looks like we were going.
Oh, hold on.
Hopefully
I'm
Creighton
getting
didn't
something here now.
set
There we
this
are.
to where I
Yeah.
had to put in like
Yeah,
a
we're good.
specific. Okay, I
We
see
are
to make
live on YouTube.
You know, so you guys just bear with us. This is do you actually see us live? Because I saw one that was like 30 seconds, then it got stopped.
Oh, not sure. 1 second. Oh, it shows. Tim, RB Live.
See,
Yes, sir. There's people
hopefully,
waiting.
because you know this.
At our event.
Yeah, you know, so it looks like we were going.
Oh, hold on. I'm getting something here now. There we are. Yeah, I think we're live, Tim.
All right, well, let me delete this other one that we have over here, the 35-second one, so it doesn't. All right, so that one is now deleted. Dashboard, videos. Thank you guys for bearing with us. Videos over here. All right, because on my end, all right, I see live for watching. Sweet. Other one that we have. All right, we got it. All right, hey guys, so thank you very much. So what was going on there is on YouTube had switched their settings, so instead of going directly live, the normal way we go live, we had to go do an event, and so I was going live to the normal way, not the event way. But part of the reason why we're trying to get better over here is that if you guys head to the LibertyAdvisor then there actually is it's actually /YouTube. But right now, you know, there is a live stream section. All the links that John and I are going to cover are in that section. So if you guys are wondering, and you know, in the past, you guys are thinking like, hey, you know, you guys covered lots of great articles, and where can we find those articles? Where you can find them. Actually, let me show you right now. So you guys head to, and this site, you know, still a work in progress. So you hit the live stream up here. It's going to eventually open up, and then boom, you see the show right there, and then you scroll down, and you've got, you know, link after link after link after link, and I'm sure we're, you know, as things are going, we'll probably find even more links to put up there. But for now, you know, we've got a great show headed for you today, and somewhere I had a little opening intro, and I seem to have lost it. But where in the melee of trying to figure out if we were actually live or not. But anyways, welcome to the Tim and John Show, episode 23. Entitled "All Hell Could It Be Breaking Loose," and that is in reference to an article that we have coming up for you. But right now, I got tons of information on the economic news, stock market news, crypto news, a little bit of election news, obviously, because that's right around the corner. And yeah, we're gonna try to see as much stuff as we can jam pack into this article. So the first off, we have, you know, obviously yesterday, huge day down on the Dow. The Dow was down, I think it was like 947 points yesterday. So just, you know, massively down day on the Dow Jones Industrial Average today. You know, and actually, if we're taking a look at like the trailing 5-day over here, I mean, it's down, you know, quite a bit. I mean, we started the week at around where was it, around 20?
Yeah, we're definitely not up.
Yeah, definitely. And actually today, I mean, it actually sort of shocked me. It was down, I think, like 8 points today, or maybe I was looking at the futures market. But yeah, the future shows down 190. Yesterday was down 940.
I think the Dow is down and the Nasdaq is up because of earnings on the FANGs.
Yeah, and then so I mean, it's just been, you know, a bloodbath of a week, and you know, who's been talking about, hey, right before the election, they're probably going to pull the rug on the stock market because the stock market has an 86% correlation 2 months before an election. If the market is down 2 months before an election, you know, going into the election, then it doesn't really bode well for the incumbent. So let's take a look here on the chart because I should have done this before we were here, but let's see, we're doing this in real time over here. So we take it back 2 months. I mean, I don't even know what today's date is. So we're here on the 30th. We're about, definitely way down. On a 3 month, we're basically even. On a 2 month, you know, we're right about the 29,000 mark, or just underneath that. And then today we're at 26.
Now we're heading into another like the futures are down again, and Nikkei and a lot of Asian markets are down as well. So I think we're heading towards another turbulent Friday tomorrow.
Yeah, and did you see that article where it actually showed that there was something that happened yesterday that actually has only happened twice ever in history? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
That is the combination of doom has taken place only two prior occasions in history. Is that correct? On it's on Zero Hedge.
Well, it proves that you can
So
read. So yes.
yeah,
So
please go ahead, Tim, and enlighten us here.
well, basically, what we had happened yesterday is that you had the S&P was down, the bond market was down, and the gold market is down. So usually you're not going to see in the whoever titled this thing actually titled it wrong on the topic here. But anyways, you're not going to see all three of those down at the same time, because if people are leaving the stock market, they're usually going into the bond market, or if they're leaving both the stock and bond market, you expect them maybe to go into the gold market.
And crypto was down.
Yeah, but it has been it's been holding above 13 here for it was down a little bit below that, but we were touching pretty close to 14,000. So
yeah, it was sort of, it was very interesting. It was actually correlating off again, and that proves that it could be on a very soon going on a very tangent, like going on a tear. But it's interesting, of course. I think it also had a little bit to do with some people started to get into margin territory maybe, and having to sell off assets left, right, and center again. I don't know. Like, do you think like we're like where we were back? When was it that hell broke loose there again, Tim? Was that March?
Yeah,
I'm
it was
trying to remember now.
March 11th and March 18th.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
like right before like the real thick of things. I mean, that was right as it was starting to go down big
Right.
time. Huge.
Yeah, no, exactly. And when everything is down, and that includes crypto as well now, that they should add into it, because cryptos are becoming a more and more known asset class. And of course, Bitcoin is the one that everybody flies into that doesn't know anything about crypto. So I think we're starting to see that with different things happening with the financial markets, with custody and all this stuff for the big Wall Street guys. You're gonna see a lot more we also saw corporation. Was it Twitter? No, forgot. No, it was it was Square. Yeah, it was Square that actually added to their corporate treasury, right? Bitcoin as well, like 50 million or something. Was that correct?
Yeah, I mean, Square does
Yeah.
have a position in the Cash app, I believe, and that's also Jack Dorsey, Twitter, sort of own property. I'm not sure if they're if it's a subsidiary or anything, but anyways, Jack Dorsey is sort of behind both of those. And then, but yeah, some of the other things we have going on. Another article over here that shows yesterday the S&P was down 3.5% as surging virus cases threatened shutdowns, and then as a sign at the top, porn star pitches trading seminar. It's the right time to get into stock. So here we have, porn stars now, along with, teachers on Robinhood trying to tell people that they should be getting into the stock market. So, just anything we can here. I'm new to the stock market, but today I saw my investment rise from $6 a share to $12.20 a share. And before I could find the button to trade, it dropped to $4.31 a share. I have never understood market volatility more poignantly in my life. So there we go. And so if you start taking, advice from strippers, then the next article kind of goes right into that. 2021, a year of mass bankruptcy. So maybe that's what happens when you take your advice from strippers, and the next year you end up bankrupt. So,
Well, you know what? I don't even think it has to do with that, Tim. I think the year of bankruptcy is
funny.
yeah.
But
No, it's interesting. With the year of bankruptcy, this is all because of the mass amounts of extensions on debt that have been put up. This is interesting, Tim. So I got a phone call because I got loans here and there, and I got a phone call from Scotiabank. And they were asking, like, are you in trouble financially? It's like, well, what are you talking about? Like, am I late on something here?
nice,
like, what's going on?
Nice icebreaker there. So.
Yeah, and yeah, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So I asked, like, well, why are you asking me that? Like, I'm very confused. Like, have I not paid my recent like loan with you guys, or what's happening here? I'm pretty sure I'm up to date. And then they were like, no, we're just doing a survey to make sure that everything is all right for you as a customer, and that you don't need any moratoriums or any extensions on your payments and so on. So it looks like the Canadian banks are sure on the ball here, Tim. Trying to really push and hold up everybody, so we're not drowning on the water here. because that's what's going on. That's why I think 2021, unless they're gonna just keep on, bailing out everybody every single day that's going on, and keep it on extending moratoriums, of course, and extensions on debt. 2021 will be the year of mass bankruptcy, because both, corporations, the private people, everybody that is in, huge amount of debt are gonna have serious issues, Tim, and I think that's what your thoughts are as well. But I think we potentially are hitting, going towards a 2021 that's going to be pretty crazy. And maybe my 2020 2021 CLO Black Swan is gonna come true, Tim. I guess we'll have to see still. But it's starting to look more and more like that we're heading towards that way, especially with the presidential elections coming up. And I think usually, like in a new when you move over an election, usually it gets hit right as in between from October and out, right, if I'm not mistaken, Tim.
I mean, October tends to be one of the worst months. I think actually September is the worst month. I remember we did a show. I only know that because last month we did a show that there was something called the September effect, and you guys can go back. I think it was episode either 19 or 18, and then I was traveling to Jekyll Island, so we did we took a little bit of a break. But John and I are trying to go live now every Tuesday and Thursday, so I know you guys can mark your calendar for that, as we try to drop all the latest news while we're still on YouTube. So and if in the event that we're not on YouTube anymore, make sure to check out, if you guys go to the LibertyAdvisor we now have it live, where down below you guys scroll down a tiny bit and you see all different places that we are live, and all different places that you can find us on podcasts, on other places like Odyssey and BitChute, which we're probably by the end of next week we'll probably have all the BitChutes, at least up for the Tim and John show live, and then we're gonna keep updating stuff. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, but anyways, moving along here, and I do agree with you that 2021. I mean, the only thing that they can kick the can down the road by maybe having the Fed coming in and making these corporations get even more zombie-like. What that mean? What a zombie corporation is basically a company that can't even pay its interest, and so sort of like the economic hitman model. These banks, they just what they want to do is just give another loan, so then that way you can pay the interest on that loan, and it's a whole big Ponzi scheme. But eventually, and you hit on this with your piece that said first the Fed will. They own nothing and then they own everything, or something like that, or
opposite way, but
everything to nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking that right.
Yeah, because I didn't say that just because I thought so or because I listened to it. I actually looked at Bank of Japan and what they've done, because they had a massive demographic cliff. They're really struggling their economy to actually get inflation and have growth in the economy, because people are aging and they have a natural deflationary state. And of course, the United States, Germany, Canada, and many other Western countries are in the same state where they have that age group that are a huge piece of society that are actually aging or exiting, out of the workforce. And, they're pulling out their investments. They got to sell their houses and all this stuff, Tim. So it's a huge deflationary pressure, of course. And, who's going to buy it, is the millennials just gonna go and jump in? Well, they started a little bit with Robinhood, of course, and
I was just about to say that. So funny you mentioned that.
Well, great mind thinks alike, isn't it? Just
if you read the book The Demographic Cliff by Harry Dent, it's and basically
I have it at home. I haven't read it yet, but I do know exactly what he is talking about, though.
Because I've said it like 100 times to you. But yeah, so basically, I mean, the gist of the book, so if you guys don't necessarily have to read it, is that the average person in America spends the most amount of money in their lifetime at age 46. The baby boom ended in, I believe it was from 46 to 64. So then if you add 46 to 1946, you get 1992. The end of the baby boom is basically started petering out in 2008. That's when everything started collapsing, and then everything's been basically papered over since 2008. But as baby boomers, realize that the only real asset that they have is, their homes and maybe some financial stocks, and the stocks. And we'll kind of get to some of this a little bit later on, because it dovetails into another thing I wanted to mention. Actually, we'll just go to it right now. I'll skip ahead a few articles over here, and this is Bill Dudley. So Bill Dudley is a former New York Fed governor. I believe he was a Goldman Sachs guy as well.
Oh yeah,
president.
He's another one of the many golden boys. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the golden boys. And what he was saying, kind of skipping over here to the end, is, there's a big problem here because now, yeah, the Fed could, I mean, I'm just, paraphrasing this, but he's like, basically, the Fed, yeah, they could lower rates a little bit more, and maybe the 30-year can go a little bit lower, but, how much good is that really going to do the average person? And so what he was advocating was, well, then we need a big fiscal response because now that the rates are so low, people need to save a lot more money to hit their goals. And now that the Fed has done this and screwed up, even though he was the head of the New York Fed, which for anyone that knows, the head of the New York Fed is the one that basically runs the
Yeah,
Fed. I mean,
exactly.
yeah, the Fed chair is sort of,
They do the trading desks and everything.
Yeah, they're the ones who actually run things. So, for him to be, calling this out, I'm like, yeah, well, you're the, well, it's a bad word there, but you're the guy out there who's advocating this, push the policy, got us to where we are now, and now he's like, oh, we need like $7 trillion to go do something. But where I was getting at with this, because I skipped ahead here, is that if you have all these seniors who, maybe, people 60 years old and older, and, now they realize that, their kids are moved out of their house. They've got a big McMansion, 3,000 square foot house that they don't need, and it's the biggest asset that they have. And so you're probably going to see a lot of people who are going to be selling homes, especially if you're in California or New York or Illinois or any one of these other, communist, democratic run hellholes. And you're probably going to see a lot of mass selling because people need liquidity to fund their own retirements, and then and so you can't outrun demographics. Now you can maybe outprint your way out of demographics, where we just have hyperinflation.
Well, Japan has tried it. Has tried it, but they're kind of like really struggling to get any kind of inflation. They've been like more like stagflation, but they've been buying a ton of assets, of course.
Yeah, I mean, they're the biggest, our most indebted first world country in the world. And, it's a sign of things. And, we were just talking about the 2021 mass bankruptcy. Well, now we have an article over here from Wells Fargo, and, well, not from Wells Fargo, but it's about Wells Fargo, is selling its $10 billion student loan book. And so you have to ask yourself, why are they selling a student loan book when student loans is debt that can't even be forgiven? Thank you, Bill Clinton, for that, because loving liberals and everything they do with that. And so what you're probably going to be seeing here is you're going to see a wave of defaults, even though you can't really default on student loans, and they still have they'll go out to your house with and I do realize I say too much, so I'm really going to try to stop saying
but Tim, was it just another thing? Was it? I shared an article on our Discord, and I think it was it Wells Fargo or was it Bank of America? I forgot which one of the banks, but they actually came out with a card that you could pay directly or a student loan with your credit card, like using the cashback or whatever they had on it to pay. So yeah, just go in some higher debt to pay off your.
Well, it might not be a bad idea because because you can't forgive student loan debt, so you can pay off student loan debt. Yeah. So you can't pay off student loan debt. You could get Bank of America, not financial advice.
Yeah, you could go bankrupt.
Definitely not financial advice. You could then have your unsecured high interest rate credit card, just default on that, and then now you default. But then what they'll probably do is you get like a $10,000 card, but you're $100,000 in student loans, so it's not really.
They wouldn't be that stupid. The banks, of course, knowing their business plans to rip you off, of course, like what they do with most stuff. And of course, Wells Fargo is an interesting bank, in itself. The crime over there is just rampant when it comes, like me and Josh, I think we had like 7 or 8 different videos on all the different crimes that Wells Fargo has committed, from fraud with mass amounts of fake bank accounts to, adding insurance onto people that they didn't ask for, to whole, I forgot all of it. Like, it's been a while since I actually looked at all the fraudulent activity over there. But of course, it's funny how, it was when, what's his name? Warren Buffett got in there that it really started to go south. But he's like, oh, I'm trying to fix the bank over there. But now I guess he's, he hasn't completely sold out of Wells Fargo, has he? Or I'm trying to remember now.
I think he definitely lightened up his position, quite a bit. Just recently, he went ahead and did that. So, but yeah, it's just more of the same old from Uncle Warren. He reminds me of Joe Biden. They're just two old guys eating an ice cream, non-threatening. Don't worry about them. But maybe Joe Biden is really non-threatening because he's gonna just a puppet up there when it's gonna be Kamala Harris and all her handlers who are gonna be the ones who are actually gonna be running the show. And then we do have another article coming up here now where it's coming. A huge bond buying opportunity. So I love how they say, bond buying opportunity, aka, the bond market is going to go down. But the thing is, the Fed has the ability, and they've already done this, to distort the market. So you can't really, because we don't live in a free market, you don't really know what really the trajectory on that is. So I definitely wouldn't recommend like shorting the bond market or anything like that, because if like you're like me and you gave a presentation at Acapulco where you called how the bond market was about to blow up and here's the reasons why the bond market's about to blow up and the Fed's gonna have to come in and buy the bonds, and if you gave all the historical analysis for why that was about to happen and you bet against the bond market, you would have lost, because what would have happened is you had companies like BlackRock who are acting as a broker and middleman to then basically offload all these ETFs, corporate junk bond and investment grade bond ETFs, to the Federal Reserve, where now the Federal Reserve owns the actual underlying bonds. And so it's basically, it's even worse than fascism, because the Fed's not even part of the government. So now we have these, private cartel who then now owns all these corporate bonds. So if the companies default, now the Fed, who never had the money to begin with, now owns all the assets. So companies like, Hertz Rental Car and all these other companies out there, were able to basically, float a little bit longer because the Fed was coming in. And then BlackRock were the ones who actually one of them was their own ETF, that they were unloading their own ETF.
And they were making money on exactly. No, they were making commissions on it. And if you don't believe me, like just go actually on the Fed's website and you'll find that commission agreement that that they actually have. I think I shared it once on our Discord too. If you go way, way far back, you'll actually see the document itself. But it's just so laughable that, they're right in your face, basically selling their own bad assets to the central bank on behalf of themselves. It's you got to take crime to another level. And of course, what's his face as well, Jerome Powell had investments. I don't know if he has it anymore with BlackRock as well. Yeah. So it's just intermingled, and it just shows you how little they care about what they're doing to people, of course. And so Tim, can you tell people how so if we go from here, the 10 years at what now, 0.83 or whatever right now. If you go from here, do you think it's any possibility that they will actually hike interest rates at all? Or do you think what I actually wrote on my book in 2015, that they're actually going to cut rates all the way down to negative and continue?
What's going to happen is I don't even know if they're even going to do that. I mean, they already have, in the actual real interest rates are already negative from the fact that inflation's obviously higher than, it's actually 0.82 now on the 10-year treasury. But what's going to eventually happen is, the Fed can really only try to save, maybe two of three things. They can try saving the bond market, the stock market, or the dollar. And so, as the stock market's going down, what they're doing, and as the bond market was about to implode, they decided to print a whole bunch of money to save the bond market, which then in turn saved the stock market. But by printing all the money on a long enough time horizon, they're going to eventually destroy the dollar. So eventually you're going to see the Fed lose control of the interest rates. And so even though they have a Fed funds rate that's, whatever the hell it is now, 0, and
the SOFR,
eventually,
SOFR rate,
and all that really is the overnight. I know that you know this, and a lot of people listening to this already know this, but this is just the overnight lending rate to banks, hypothetically. But the Fed's coming in and was buying up longer term bonds as well. So effectively, eventually, they're going to have to monetize probably over 100% of all the bonds that are out there in order to keep a lid on this. Because if rates start going up, what people don't really understand is that the underlying value of the bonds works like a teeter-totter. So if the rates are going up, the underlying values of the bonds are going down. And the reason for that is, if you had a bond that was paying 2% and now you can go to the market and get a bond paying 6% hypothetically, nobody's going to want your 2% bond if I can go to the store, not like it's a store, but and get one for 6%. No one's going to do that. So so there is a mathematical equation that actually has to, it started getting the really geeky stuff over here. It's technically the bond duration. So if you had a 10-year bond duration, let's say 30-year bond, or duration of 30 rather, and the interest rates go up 1%, you just lost 30% of your value. Interest rates go up 2%, you've lost a little bit over 60% because of compounding. So you start having a Federal Reserve that has trillions of dollars in assets, and rates start going up, they're going to lose money. And there actually is a guy named Tim Picciott who wrote his congressman on Facebook who was going to interview Janet Yellen, and my ballbuster question actually snuck through and made it to Janet Yellen 2 years ago in front of Congress where I asked, I'm like, what happens if the rates do go up like you guys say they're going to go up? Then the underlying values of your bond portfolio is going to absolutely collapse. Historically, you actually give back 6% of all the profit, aka you guys keep 94% of all the profit. Well, in that scenario, you're going to lose money. What do you have to do? Like send the Treasury a bill? And then Janet Yellen said that my scenario was mathematically impossible. I mean, a fucking alien attack tomorrow is technically possible, and my scenario is the most probable scenario that's going to happen. And the thing is, if you actually read when earlier when it said that there was what was it when everyone was saying that Trump nationalized the Fed, if you actually read that statement, which he didn't, but if you read that statement, it says that the Treasury is in a first loss position. So wait a minute, Janet Yellen. I thought 2 years ago you said that was impossible for the Fed to lose money. So maybe it is impossible because you're going to put the Treasury in a first loss position. And then now you have all these idiots out there and all the Q-tards who are saying, oh, well, Trump just went ahead and nationalized the Fed. No, he didn't. He actually made it even more vulnerable. And it drives me just effing nuts that, that we have to even talk about this and that people like me who was on the class to win the national competition on the Fed who, risked everything, exposing this type of stuff, that you got these guys who just learned about the Fed last year thinking they know more than us, know more than J.R. Griffin, when even J.R. Griffin, basically said that was crap and didn't believe in it. And same thing with Q. And I can understand why people are wrapped up in this. But do you think that the plan was, what was the plan? The plan is to go lock everyone in their homes for an entire year, so then that way, and then, wait till, a day before everything's going down to finally arrest all the pedophiles. And yeah, there's been some pedophiles that are arrested, but, it's not like Trump's going out there and personally arresting them, but it's just it drives me effing nuts to, see this when, my question actually made it to Janet Yellen 2 years ago on this exact subject, and this is how it's going to go down. They're going to lose control. They can never have it, get raised up like Paul Volcker did. Now Paul Volcker's dead, so the last. And I wouldn't say, I hate saying like a good Fed chair because that's just like kind of an oxymoron type statement, but he actually did something that took a lot of balls and something that would never be done today. And yeah, they rose rates, what was it, like October 4th.
Yeah, it 16% or whatever, right?
I was talking about like recently, the Fed was able to, raise rates a few times and then as soon as they did it, the stock market cratered. They had to renege on every single thing. And that was back when they were selling $50 billion of bonds a month. And I had to go back to my podcast called A Perfect Storm is Brewing. It's only like 8 minutes long, detailing why they couldn't do that much before, as they're saying they're about to do that, and why nobody, how is this me over here while I'm running this? I'm running a successful business. I'm out running triathlons, playing with my kids, doing all this other shit. And how come I can fucking figure this out, but no one at the Fed can? That just drives me effing nuts. I'm sorry for the language, but here we are at this precipice of this whole entire thing collapsing, and nobody gives a shit, and nobody knows. And then now, no, don't worry. Q says that the Trump, nationalized the Fed, so everybody lay down. Don't listen to Tim. Don't listen to John. Don't listen to Jerry Griffin. Don't listen to Ron Paul. Don't listen to every single person that actually knew what was going on in 2008 and called stuff, has been calling everything all along. Don't listen to those guys.
No, and also, Tim, on top of that, what's even worse is that the actual Treasury's exchange stabilization fund has been used to bail out. They had let me actually go through these credit facilities that they used here, Tim. I got them all up here because I actually have them on my website. And I'll just give me a second here. I'm actually going to mention every single one, but it's not the Federal Reserve that are doing this. This is the actual Exchange Stabilization Fund.
Hey, I just gave you like 3 minutes on like a huge rant there to get it up. So
yeah,
what are you doing?
Okay, so here we go. Right, like the Exchange Stabilization Fund jumped in size, from about 98 billion up to suddenly almost 700 billion. Recently, and it was for a reason, because of course
who runs that? Does the FSB run that, or they?
No. This is actually the Undersecretary of Treasury is running the Exchange Stabilization Fund, actually. So it's not the Treasury Secretary himself that runs it, but it's the Undersecretary that actually is in charge of it. If you go and look at the books, actually talking about that. I highly suggest, if you can find a copy of this, it's very hard to find it, but it's the Exchange Stabilization Fund slush money or war chest. And in here, it actually talks about, how the structure of it is, how many times it's been used to bail out, how it's actually basically, like how fun it is to have Trump. Like, he was just recently out again saying that, China is, manipulating the currency and we are not. It's like, are you joking me? Like the Exchange Stabilization Fund, in its statement, it says that they're meant there to make sure that the US dollar value is stable. So they're basically in there manipulating, and a lot of times they go out and bail out currencies and other put out credit lines and so on from the fund. But in the Exchange Stabilization Fund itself, that was actually funded by the stolen gold back in 1933 in the Gold Act. You can actually find it. It was $2 billion worth of gold that they actually started this fund with. And they also funded the initial seed funding into the IMF with it. So, it's very corrupt, but we go and look here. So if you go and look at the actual monthly balance sheet, if anybody of you feel like you want to go in and look at something really dry, in there's a whole bunch of different funding programs that they're funding, and one of them is, of course, the
you gotta sell a little bit harder than that. If you guys want to look at something really dry, let's
well, it's dry for most people because they have no clue what's going on there. But anyway, so it's the Commercial Paper Funding Facility 2, because they had a similar one in 2008. It was called number 1, or not a number 1, but just like Commercial Paper Funding Facility. Then you have let's see here, it's the Term Asset-Backed Securities Loan Facility, and that is for asset-backed securities, which is derivatives that are, backed by, they're backed by, credit card loans, student loans, car loans, and a whole wide array of other assets that you don't hear about in the mortgage-backed security field. So they're doing that. They're bailing that out, and that one has constantly increased until lately. It's kind of plateaued a little bit. There hasn't been too much intervention. Then you got the Corporate Credit Facility (LLC). So these are actually special purpose vehicles that that the name is Corporate Credit Facility (LLC). It's a limited liability company. And it's the same for all these. Actually, you got the Municipal Liquidity Facility for municipality, like for the muni bond market and so on. Then you got the Main Street Lending Program, which is still going up. You got the Money Market Mutual Fund Liquidity Facility, which has been going down all the time now. So there's not too much strain as of right now on the money markets side of things, but that could of course change in a second. But yeah, that's actual facilities that they set up through the Treasury's Exchange Stabilization Fund, and that is a bailout, a shadow bailout that nobody is talking about really, Tim.
Yeah, and we are just hearing a little bit of static, I think, coming from the microphone. I didn't want to interrupt that great expose you're giving out there, but yeah, there is a little bit of static that we are hearing. And this is actually, so this next article that we have coming up here is actually, I think, one of the most interesting ones that we have. So see, that's how you sell it, John. Most interesting. Not saying that because you dry stuff coming up here, but most investors now expect. This is most investors. Let me read it again. Now expect the U.S. stock market to crash like it did in October 1987. And why that's good news, according to Yahoo Finance.
Oh, good. Yeah, buy the dip.
Yeah, well, it's not really necessarily that, but yeah, I do understand that. But that's another way that they could spin that. But it's because, and actually, I do somewhat agree with this, that it is a contrarian statement that if everyone thinks that the market's about to crash, and it actually is sort of means that it's probably not going to crash, because everybody does expect things to go down, but also people do expect Donald Trump to win too. I mean, I was just spot checking Alex Jones today, and it's very hard. I listened to his Joe Rogan too, which that was awesome. If you guys haven't heard,
yeah, I listened to most. That was it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, what did you listen to the Kanye one also?
I didn't have time for all of it, but I listened to half of it with my wife the other day.
Well, I listened to the Kanye one, then I didn't even know, and I don't listen to very many Joe Rogans, and then I didn't even know the Alex Jones one was on, and all of a sudden I was like on Instagram and saw that that Joe Rogan had posted about Alex Jones, and I was like, oh my god, like this is like Christmas come early. I had no, and it was great because I didn't have like any anticipation or any build up. Like all of a sudden, like boom, it was right there, and yeah, it was awesome. But so I decided to listen. I only listened to like 2 minutes of Alex Jones today, so it's like the very beginning of this, and he's like, you know what, I'm saying it right now, Trump's gonna win in a landslide. You know, I got the documents, and maybe I don't have any documents to crinkle up over here, but he's like, we're gonna win in a landslide. So you know what? I want to go back and play that clip if in the event Trump ends up losing, because Republicans are getting so cocky. I mean, if there's no way that you can say he's going to win in a landslide. I mean, this is going to look really stupid if come Tuesday he wins in a landslide, then I'll admit that I was wrong. But I think at best If best case scenario for him is that it's, a 50-50 coin flip at best. But I mean, to go out and say he's going to win a landslide, I mean, what are they
No,
crazy? I thought that's what he's smoking, but I don't know
yeah.
if he was. But yeah, I think he was smoking there. Actually, no, he was
They
smoking
have
Joe
to have.
Rogan.
Yeah, he definitely was smoking and drinking hard. Actually, he got pretty wasted at the end of it. I haven't watched the whole thing to the end. I have like probably 20 minutes left, but yeah, he was getting pretty lit there, and then also drunk.
Well, the very end is when he starts inviting himself on to a future upcoming like election show, and then Rogan's
Yeah, the
election.
election.
And he's like, "No, you're just gonna turn it into the Joe Rogan show." And it's just it's hilarious. Classic Alex Jones.
Yeah, but there will be interesting. When is the election again? On the 3rd, right? So,
Tuesday.
Yeah, on the Tuesday. Is it the 2nd?
It's always Tuesday. So.
Okay, yeah, I'm not too familiar with America.
He's not American. He's not even a Canadian. He's a Norwegian. So I don't know anything. I don't know anything about how it goes on in Norway. So more power to you.
It's interesting though. It's we'll see. Like we'll actually be on the big show, the Union of the Unwanted. Me and Tim will be on there, and hopefully I'm gonna today actually would be a good day to call Ed and. Give him a little bit of a heads up, and hopefully get Ed Griffin on as well for the election night at the Union of the Unwanted, and that'd be a good show to see as well for all of you. That goes live, of course, and it's a lot of fun. Last time I got to former Guardian. It's not at Guardian anymore. Greg Palast. I was kind of poking at him and pushing him as he was bullshitting, saying that 85% of people are voting. This time, 85% of registered voters were voting, and then 55% were voting.
Internet for a minute. So
you're back. You're back.
Yeah. There? So even though I've got a gigabyte up and gigabyte down, the lizard people want to fuck with me every now and then and cut off my internet temporarily. But yeah, we're back. I made you a co-host, so luckily the Zoom didn't cut out, but unfortunately the stream cut out. Anyways, we're back, and now that they're gonna have that epic live stream, like I was thinking of doing a live stream during the election, but who the hell's gonna turn into me when you've got Joe Rogan and Alex Jones getting hammered?
Yeah, that's pretty tough to. Yeah, unless we actually went to Ed's place and had drinks at Ed's place, that'd be the only time we could actually compete with Joe Rogan and Alex Jones and his crew getting all wasted.
Yeah, I love the last time Ed was on there. I mean, Alex paid him a lot of deference and was like, hey, this is Ed Griffin was the guy from 1956 all the way to 1996 leading the charge. And after 1996, I took over and I was leading the charge, and I've been the biggest one ever since. But until 96, it was all me. But it was, but even though he's trying to give him props, he's still being a dick. But that's what else. But as much as I rag on Alex, I mean, if it wasn't for him, a lot of the, he has exposed, tons and tons of stuff, and basically I got like a PhD.
Oh, and he still,
stuff.
Yeah, he still talks the truth most 95% of the time. So you can't discount Alex Jones either, even though he's a little over the top a lot of times. But
a little, and then so what else do we have coming up here? We've got the because I skipped ahead some articles over here, but we have the Walmart CEO urges Congress to pass another stimulus bill, assisting those who really need help and boosting holiday sales by billions of dollars.
His employees on food stamp?
Yeah, they're on food stamps while the Waltons have like 3 or 4 out of the top 10 billionaires in the world are Waltons. And then you have to take a look. I mean, if you take a look at all the food stamps that are given out, the Walmart's probably one of the largest recipients of food stamp money. And so it's if we had a environment where you actually saw people standing in line, bread lines, I mean, it would be even worse today. It'd be even worse even before the coronavirus.
Well, the Walmart employees are literally in the bread lines through getting food stamps to survive because of their low salaries. So yeah, there you go.
And I see Sean in the comments. All right, if that's nobody, I don't want to hear any complaints when Kanye makes us all attend his church service. And I'm actually contemplating. I didn't get my mail-in voting. I never changed anything, so I was too lazy to take the 15 seconds to do that. But I'm either gonna stand in line without a mask. Well, I'm definitely standing in line without a mask, either to vote for nobody or to write in Kanye. So I don't know which. If I want to, I would.
Can you vote for nobody? Isn't he in New Hampshire?
I want to write in nobody. So I want to go there, cause a scene without a mask, if there's a scene, or maybe show up in a full hazmat suit. Maybe that's even better. And then just
Yeah, that's the best.
vote for nobody. Nobody will let you down. Nobody will raise your taxes. Nobody will go to war. Nobody will.
Well, actually,
you.
yeah, there's actually a guy. Isn't he from New Hampshire? Did you meet him when you were up there at Porpoise? Yeah, genius guy.
Yeah, no, and we make Josh and I when we were over here, we're having a field day, making nobody jokes. So it's one of the things if you're around us, you want to kill us because we were making nobody. Which all the guys in New Hampshire, I'm sure, are making tons of nobody jokes. So shout out to nobody and shout out to everyone in New Hampshire. I know if Gluten Freeman, if Riaz is watching this, he'll probably get a kick out of it. So shout out to him. And next article we have coming up here is Jeffrey Gundlach from Double Line Investments, and personally, he's also known as like the Bond King.
Gundlach.
But let's see. Trump will win next week, and by 2027, there will be some sort of revolution. And so this is coming from one of the most respected. Not that I really respect a lot of money managers, but just in general, this guy is one of the most respected money managers out there. Probably one of the only people that I actually respect, really, as a money manager that's out there. And and I don't really agree with him that Trump is going to win, but I do. But when you've got you've got a guy like Jeffrey Gundlach saying that by 2027 there's going to be some sort of revolution. Well, we probably would have already had a revolution, but what Google does is they're able to take, all this information and see where everything is headed and then get in front of movements and steer them and get all this bulk information.
Yeah, and we had COVID too, basically making a lot of it illegal.
Yeah, I mean, they
look at the European countries too. No, they're definitely it's just pretty hilarious, but I think that could come a lot earlier because people are hungry, starting to get hungry, angry. And when people are getting hungry because they can't feed themselves, because they don't get the money, well, you get a revolution all throughout history. Don't try to tell me one time that hasn't happened when you have a revolution where people weren't hungry in the streets because of overprinting of currency.
It's because it's because they've never done communism right. I mean, if we only had the proper democratic communism and democratic socialism, not to be confused with the Republican socialism.
Well, yeah, look at how well that is going for Norway. Norway is retracting their democratic socialism. They have to half go into capitalism now because their system sucked and they were getting extremely poor. I don't know, if you go to Norway, they said it's the happiest country in the world. I say that to my mom. She starts laughing really, really hard every time I say it, because she knows how far away from the truth that is. And Norwegians are the most unfriendly people other than Chinese in the world. I guess that's why we kind of we're plotting, the Chinese are plotting their own takeover of the world. Norway has done that forever throughout the UN. We got so many people in the United Nations, Tim, you wouldn't believe it, that are, the former Norwegian politicians that, nobody knows a lot of times who they are, but they're just there because they know that if you fail as a politician, you just go to the UN, you're an unelected official, you get all these, as we talked with Eric Schein the other day on Tuesday about, the legal rights that, they have compared to everybody else. They can basically do whatever they want. They're, have diplomatic immunity. Do you remember when, our buddy, Joey Weeks, he was flaunting his UN diplomatic passport? Do you remember that? When we were at Aaron and
the pool party?
Kingsley's? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember that, and he also had Liberland and a few other, things, and I tried talking to him about different, trust planning at one point, and he, but he basically blew it off. It's like, oh no, I've got diplomatic immunity and this and this and that and the other thing. So, in case the feds are listening, I don't know anything about his situation. It's just, he thought he knew everything.
I don't know. I think is he still in prison?
Yeah,
but he hasn't still got trialed either, though.
Yeah, I think because of the whole pandemic. Oh man, he's just got to be. I mean, I know he did say he wanted to sober up and lose some weight. So I mean, at least if there's any silver lining in all this, not to make it.
Oh, there you go.
Because he's a guy that knows so much about, even though he necessarily wasn't implementing it, so much about health and so much about different wellness things and the news and everything that's going on, that it must just be driving him nuts in there to have to see all the propaganda that's going on and not be able to counter it and just who knows? I mean, it's I don't think he's an angel on some things, but anyways, I don't want to say anything else. I don't want to get myself in any trouble. But or any more trouble. But yeah, and I did have a video that I shot with Jeff Berwick on that, and then his lawyers asked me to take it down, or Jeff to take it down after like 12 hours. But anyways, I do see somebody said that they can write in Vermin Supreme, and I actually did on the fourth ballot of the Libertarian Party this year as a delegate of the LP, wrote in Vermin Supreme because I knew by then it was definitely going to be Joe Jorgensen. First 3 rounds, I went for my boy Jacob Hornberger, and then I was like, at the end, I'm like, you know what, screw it. You know, this whole thing's just a joke. The LP is a joke, and just decided to go for it. No, I'm saying the LP is a joke as a delegate for.
Like when they actually had the chance, you know, last election and this election, they're running buffoons and you know, basically statists as their main you know, candidates. You know, you got Garrett Johnson, you know, just completely laughable guy. You know, total hardcore statist. And then, of course, you got Joe Jurgensen. You told me that she was, you know, pro-CIA. Like,
well, no, I wouldn't say she's... I mean, we got on one hand, you know, you got a guy like Jacob Hornberger who's like, we need to get rid of the CIA, we need to get rid of the IRS, and the guy who actually believed it and was just going absolutely, you know, nuts out there. Then you have, you know, Joe Jorgensen like, oh, if we trim this down by like 2% and we trim this down a little bit and we do this, you know, we're in the end game of this. We're way past trimming things down 1 or 2%. But what they want to do is they want to go kowtow to all the social justice warriors. They want to go kowtow to all the Biden supporters that aren't going to go over there anyways, and you know, and kowtow to all the black people out there. Then the one black guy that they have speaking there, besides actually this other guy, John Mounds, was running for VP, and he did great. And first time he's ever been on my radar. But quick aside, but Maj Touré of Black Guns Matter, you know, basically him and Nick Sarwark got into it, which, you know, Nick Sarwark, you got nothing good to say about that guy. But and that was like the whole reason I became a delegate was to make sure he wasn't back there. But anyways, he was basically saying that Maj Touré was too hood, and then uninvited, the inner city black guy who's going to be a speaker who would have done an amazing job, he disinvites him. So here they are kowtowing to black people, and then they kick off the only black speaker that they have. And then there was a big like tiff on Twitter that I saw where I think it was some other black people basically saying like F you, Sarwark. And so all this social justice warrior stuff, all this kowtowing to the left, and basically you've got nothing to show for it. So and again, because they just want to play identity politics, and there's a lot of people in the libertarian movement now who, you know, I even saw part of this one group. They're not going to mention that, you know, there's one of their moderators has a Biden Harris thing underneath their name, and so it's what the LP doesn't realize is that the libertarians are a million times bigger outside the Libertarian Party, because the Libertarian Party is a joke. I don't know if I'll ever waste my time. You know, if you guys want to play this, you know, if I end up running a couple years from now, oh, look at Tim. Tim said we're a joke and he's not going to waste our time. Good, fucking play it, because you guys are a joke. And the fact that I'm even mentioning you right now, this is the most I've even talked about Joe Jorgensen the entire time. Because I was up there, I'm like, you know what? If you guys, a bunch of people that know nothing about social media, know nothing about getting reach or anything, not that I'm like huge or anything, if you guys go this way and want Joe Jorgensen, who I talked with in person in January, it was like talking to like a dead fish, except, you know, no offense to any dead fish out there, that I'm like, it's going to be dead in the water. Like, how can you do this? I was actually there, spent a ton of time doing this, drove all the way down to Tucson. Then on the way back, 2 miles in, Ernie got a flat tire. We almost thought we were going to die. No, we would have if we were on the highway. And then, you know, this whole big thing, and probably wasted 30, 40 hours of my life for them to just go with, oh, we got a woman out there. Great. I have nothing against women. Why don't you get a hardcore women who out there, which, you know, I'm sure there's some that are out there. There's some unicorns that might be out there who are calling for, you know, getting rid of the IRS, getting rid of all this stuff, you know, going hardcore. Now is not the time to try to be like, oh, if we're just really nice and play ball with everybody, we try to, you know, make nice to Rachel Maddow, and maybe.
Yeah, that went so well from my party too. Like the guy that, you know, I co-founded the party with, he did that and then destroyed the party because everybody that got in was just frauds, and they just wanted power. That's what, you know, and that's what's happening in the Libertarian Party. My point of view is just being taken over by people.
I'm talking about the Libertarian Party at all in this, but there was one article about libertarianism that I did want to share just because I thought it was funny. So I'll skip ahead to that article right now, and it's out of The Nation: How Libertarianism Made Arizona a COVID-19 Hotspot. Welcome to Arizona, where teaching has become the Hunger Games, Lord of the Flies, and Survivor all wrapped into one. And then it talks about this teacher who lives in Peoria, Arizona. Well, guess what? I live in Peoria, Arizona. And so, and as a delegate of the LP, and as somebody that had coronavirus the first week of January, I mean, yeah, maybe I am to blame. But anyways, I mean, I actually did quarantine. And I was shaking like vigorously like the first week of January, and after flying, and the first time I've probably been sick since 2005, I want to say. And it wasn't other than like shaking for 2 days, and I had some lingering effects. But I love how they want to say blame it on libertarians when Doug Ducey, nothing libertarian about that douche. And they call him actually Doug Douchey. Like people on the left and right hate him. Next time this guy's, I mean, I would highly doubt this guy is going to run again because he's going to get torched from both sides. I'm just saying like politically, not like I'm not advocating anybody goes out there and does anything to the former Cold Stone Creamery CEO. But they're trying to say Arizona is the highest per capita place in the country with coronavirus. Well, supposedly I don't have immunity because I went and I got an antibody test in June and I was negative for it. So I've been gallivanting around, was at Red Pill with 600 people, at Jackalope with about 500 to 600 people, at Porkfest probably 1,000 people, at Anarchapulco with about 500 people, at it was just at some pumpkin thing with my kids yesterday with hundreds of people running around without masks. I mean, I'm doing in the supposedly worst place in the world. I mean, outside of like licking people that have coronavirus, I mean, I've basically done everything I can to try to get it the second time around, and nothing has happened, knock on wood. Well, I guess that's plastic.
Yeah. Hey Tim, since we're on the topic of the coronavirus, can you please go to our Discord? I just posted a video there just recently, and I think our viewers would really enjoy this video. It was actually a local video from CTV, which is Canadian television here over in Canada, but it was local, the local news crew. And of course, a lady was interviewing the former head of healthcare in Canada, not the current Brett Rusin that we have. But if you go
in the general chat, or
it's in the general chat. If you go there, you'll actually find it. It's a YouTube video, Tim. If you just go a little bit up, you just gotta go a little bit past because it's pretty busy actually in our.
Well, there's so much stuff on here that I see. There's FSB
Joel
thing.
Kettner.
It's an FSB thing that you posted, but what should
it's a video that says Joel Kettner.
And does it have like the actual like little? I see stock barracuda. I see brace for a fairy. I mean, I don't know, dude. There's so much stuff on here. I can't.
Yeah, right now I'm posting it in the general so you could see it again. So just go into that link and then please because this is actually the guy that's the head of health that we guy called Brett Rusin that's head of health now. They're actually talking about like shutting down the whole economy here again. But meanwhile, this former head of health,
right above there's a link for Pornhub, but no, it's not linked to Pornhub, but it's a huge breaking exclusive. Hunter Biden has a Pornhub account where, and again, so you guys will have to go to our Discord to go click on that to go see what that's all about because I actually don't. But I love how it's just like in our frame now that has the Pornhub thing in it.
Yesterday, Manitoba set a single day.
Please go to this video, Tim, and go a little bit further back. Like it starts after he says like, you know what, I have a couple of stats here that I really would like to share with your listeners. And if you go, I think it's like about 3 minutes back in the video. If you go and scroll, because this is just and you gotta watch it because you gotta see the panic.
3 minutes into the video, you're saying?
Yeah, probably about 3 minutes, and you'll see just listen and hear where you're at there. But it's basically talking about, I have some stats to tell you.
By the way,
guys.
This is how John and I do show prep is right now. You guys are hearing it. So hopefully you guys can hear this because for some reason it's playing out my regular speakers, but hopefully you guys can hear this.
I cannot hear it, Tim.
Is, as we know, to try to flatten the curve. In other words, to try to prevent our hospitals being overrun with cases and to try to reduce the mortality, especially premature mortality. How much benefit do these
lockdowns and restrictions have? No doubt they have some impact, but we have to put this in perspective. So here's a few numbers which I think your listeners might find interesting and important. 4,500 cases in Manitoba. That represents less than 0.3% of our population. That's 1 in 300 people so far have had a positive test result. 58 deaths. That's 1 per 25,000 Manitobans.
Now you probably can hear him now is talking about the different stats, and he's just crushing, the current stats that, we're about to lock down here right away because they're pushing for that. And he's saying that, well, this is like right now it's 0.3% of all deaths in Manitoba is caused by COVID, and
That's
the hospital beds are nowhere near.
We're listening to it right now.
1% of all causes of death. ICU admissions, 15. That's about 20% of our ICU
just
beds.
Watch it, guys, when you see the reporter
season,
after
the
these
majority
stats.
of ICU
You
beds
gotta
are
watch.
taken up
This is the best,
people with
ever
a
you see.
variety of
Like
viral
they're in a
and
headlight, she's
bacterial
probably
causes
getting
of
yelled in
acute
the
lung
ear
injury or pneumonia.
by the
And we,
producers.
so far from estimates from descriptions of our capacity for ventilators, we're
really
using
quit
up less than
fast
1% of our ventilator capacity.
So, Dr. Kettner, what are you?
I want to add one more point. Hospitalizations, 83 hospitalizations. That's less than 3% of all our beds. So we just have to put into perspective the impact that this disease is having, and on the one hand, and of course, one other very important point about this disease, it's primarily affecting older people. 80% of our deaths in Canada are in people.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and I think, we get it that this is all, BS, and we know that, we can't obviously trust.
But I there's so just about this though, because I thought it was hilarious. You see the actual like whoever anchor or whoever is interviewing him is kind of panicking, and she's probably getting yelled at, like to shut down the interview, shut down the interview. It's actually gone from the internet. They actually CTV took it down. That's the best. It just really cracks me out. Yeah, I could have seen her like blinking her eyes and being like a little bit in panic mode, trying to cut him off. It's just very enjoyable for me, like to see that kind of stuff. And his talk kind of poking a lot of holes in the current paradigm that they're trying to shove down the throat of Manitobans here.
Well, you see what they're doing.
Province.
I mean, you guys have it easy compared to, as you say, France. So in France, they have back in nationwide lockdown and worse second wave, what you now can and can't do. So Emmanuel Macron, who, if only there was a guy named me, who the first, literally, I think his podcast episode 4 or 5, I had a whole expose about his connections to the Rothschild family, including he was directly working for the Rothschild family.
Oh, it's in.
Just
Bank. Go on. Yeah, just go on his LinkedIn. Like I have him as a 3rd level LinkedIn connection, and you go on his LinkedIn. It's right there, Rothschild's Bank. If you don't believe us.
Yeah, no, it's insane how he's actually working for the Rothschild Bank, and so but I know we were skipping some articles because we had the whole libertarian rant that I wasn't planning on getting into. But we also have Trump paints apocalyptic portrait of life in the U.S. underneath Biden, and so what do you think? What do you think life would look like in the U.S. underneath Biden? I know you don't live in the U.S.
Well, it would be pretty much like here. He's very similar to Trudeau. He's like a complete buffoon and doesn't know how to speak sometimes. He's have nuts. So I think it would be very similar to what we have here in Canada, and nothing different at all, Tim, than what you see in here. The big push for a Green New Deal. We're getting a massive Green New Deal here in Canada. Tons of new spending. Our finance minister has a degree in journalism, and she studied Russian history, so she knows a lot about communism. So I guess
speaking of which, who they want as the next Treasury Secretary in America? No. Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, this is good. Just getting better and better. If that happens, Tim, if we end up with Elizabeth Warren,
she's basically front underneath Biden. So I guess it would be apocalyptic underneath.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's gonna be like we have here in Canada. So Tiff McClem, the new, we used to have Stephen Pulitzer as our head of the central bank, but now Tiff McClem, he used to be number 2 at the Bank of Canada. But Tiff McClem was out in a big speech. We had their interest rate decision staying at 0.25%. But he said that, Bank of Canada will hold rates at 0 until 2023. We just want you to go out and buy that new car, renovate your house. So they're getting desperate when the central bank, the head of the central bank, is coming out and saying directly to people's faces that you gotta basically get as much debt as possible because we need to save the economy from going to the cracker.
Just waiting for them to say buy the dip. That's the next thing we need.
Yeah. Oh, by the dip. Yeah. They'll probably come very soon, as we're starting to get in more and more distress. But Tim, I actually I'm working on a big project that probably will be done in a couple of weeks. It is like looking at central banks' balance sheet around the world. Now, I have reports actually that you can go and find under the economictruth.org, under my info. If you go to my infogram page, there you find like where I put my charts and stuff. And you can find some work I've done on global balance sheets, but I've done some more work since then, because since I did it last, it actually skyrocketed quite a bit. So what is interesting, Tim, I did, pull the numbers for central banks and, the data on all of them in 2008, 2016, 2019, and current, as of current. What's interesting here is that I took a number, and I don't know if you agree if I should use this number or not, but I used the number of central banks' balance sheets to a current GDP. And this is interesting. So in 2008, it was at 36.21%. This is globally. We're talking about the whole world right now. In 2008, it was 36.21.
Right? You can find this on our Discord, right?
It will be there soon. You could find some of the work has been published already, but this is an ongoing kind of basis that I try to keep up to date on these central banks. It's a lot of work, because you got to go from their local currencies to then use dollars to make sure it makes a lot more sense. You could add all the numbers together, so it's a lot of work to put this together. But so in 2008, it was 36.21, and the total balance sheets was approximate at that time 22.976 trillion dollars was the total world central bank balance sheet. Now in 2016, it increased to 34.037%, and the percentage increased to 44.59%. In 2019, it actually dropped a bit, the central bank's balance sheet to GDP, because they were in kind of a little bit of a tapering mode right as I did my check-in, because it's at 4 trillion something, the US dollar number. It was at about the same, like didn't increase much from 2016 to 2019. It went from 34.037 trillion to 34.396 trillion. So not very much happening there, right? And it actually dropped to the GDP, because GDP increased from 76.33 to 87.75 trillion. But in 2020, Tim, and I used approximate numbers now for year end, where we're going to be, it's predicted to be minus 4.9 as of the numbers from the IMF. And currently, this is before probably we're going to have a lot more central bank balance sheet increases this year, I think. But current, it's at 46.98 trillion. So from 2019 till 2020, so far, it has increased by 12.6 trillion dollars, Tim, the balance sheets globally. Central bank's balance sheet as a percentage of GDP has gone up to 56.31. And if you take central bank's balance sheet as a total, I have the total for other years, but I don't really care to mention that number now. That you can go and look at all this work later on when I publish it. But the central bank balance sheet percentage of total debt in the world is at 18. Yeah, it's at 18.21. Is it my hands free here? That's a little bit. Tim?
It's something that's rubbing against.
Yeah.
Making a.
Is it maybe? I'm just gonna hold it out like this, but so that's that. But then, of course, I also have some numbers that I'm just gonna mention a few numbers that might be interesting for everybody. For a percentage increase from 2008 till 2020 of central bank's balance sheet. I wanna see from the expert Tim Picciott here. What do you think the increase is in balance sheet in percentage wise for the United States Federal Reserve?
Almost
let's see how good it is.
Almost like 100%.
No, it's 893.93%, because it went from 800.
Oh, you're talking about percent of GDP, not just the balance sheet. Okay.
No, percent increase in balance sheet. So the balance sheet was at 800 billion, and now it's at
from when to when? I thought. I didn't know.
No, yeah. No.
I thought you were talking about since the start of the pandemic. Yes. Okay.
No. So that is the United States. That's the Federal Reserve. Canada was up 1,054%. You have other ones here. You got Ghana, which is really bad. It's at 2,244%. You got Argentina, 23.73 thousand%. And then you have let's see here. There's Russia is really bad. It went for like up 9,998.82%.
And this is from 2008, right?
Yeah, 2008. So this is pre-financial crisis, because I thought that was an important number, but actually we're just under the numbers of Turkey. Turkey is 940. They're currently in actually a lot of trouble. Their lira over there, they're at record lows now. It's continuing to lose its value. And then, of course, Bank of England, 966.82%. So there you go. You know, it's funny. Like, we've been in a Great Depression, Tim, since 2008. That's my point of view. But they papered over it. They bought, all these terrible assets for the central from the banks, and then given them reserves. And with the new reserves, they can't do anything with the reserves, but they could print a ton of new currency and then go and bet on the stock market, the banks. But they're not lending to people. Here in Canada, they're just looking at some new rules.
We got that static coming back. It was great when you were holding it.
Oh yeah. So they got the actual CMHC here, which is the same as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It's Canada's Mortgage and Housing Corporation. They're actually looking at creating new rules now. So like one person from the household has to be at least 680 in credit score. And they're looking to actually do 20% down now on those mortgages, because they're not doing 5% down anymore. Suddenly. That just suddenly changed. It was this week, actually, that they mentioned that. So we're in real bad trouble here, Tim.
Well, America, you can still get away with 3.5% down, or if you're a veteran, and I believe it's even 0% down, or a farmer, other agricultural purposes. And I'm checking our Discord right now, and let me just put this on screen here. It shows. Is this really from the World Economic Forum? I don't know if this is a spoof or a meme, but it says you'll own nothing, and you'll be happy.
No, this is 100% Tim. Actually, there is a video on
that's
there.
Real? Oh my
it's
God.
a video with prediction.
Thank you, Free Nilly, for
predictions.
Yes, thank you, Free Nilly, from that. And there's so much good stuff. So make sure you guys check out the Discord. It's just another way to keep in touch with all of us. And also, I mean, we've had a lot of new followers in Odyssey. I mean, obviously not like a ton, but Odyssey is basically like a library. It's like the video streaming app for libraries. So if you're either Library or Odyssey, you'll be subscribed to the same one. But we've got 144 now, which only I think is up about 44 in the past day or two. So thank you to all the WAM subscribers who are over there. I think BitChute. I know as we get caught up on BitChute, the Tim and John shows, I'm sure that will probably catch up as well too. But yeah, these will eventually be on BitChute. I want to thank Zach for posting everything on there. It's been a huge help. And really appreciate that. And then I want to also thank my man Creighton for helping out with the website, but we're not fully there yet, but we are getting there. And sorry for
and soon John will be a lot more effective. I'm getting a brand new computer finally with crypto. Thanks for the crypto guys for I've been paid in crypto for a lot of different things lately. So that I actually bought right as was pretty close to the peak there, and so I. Very smart decision, bought my computer just in Bitcoin.
Until we get to 100,000 Bitcoin, then you've got like a 7,000.
Tim, if you were to, but if you do that though, like I bought pizza. No, I bought pizza back in the day, Tim. Like in 2014, when we had the Coin Fest. We had a local place here in Winnipeg, and I bought beer and pizza with my Bitcoins back then. And you can imagine, how much that is worth.
Yeah, it's like your Podesta or Hillary with how much they spend on pizza parties, but different types of pizza parties. Somebody had to say. But speaking of groceries and pizza party, we do have an article from Zero Hedge. A lot of hoarding. Americans race to supermarkets as second wave arrives. And, I would say, people should be prepared. And, all the time I get people who are asking me, I'm not even selling anything, but people always ask me, I've got, $10,000, what should I do? Or $5,000. Well, I mean, the first thing, not even financial advice isn't really financial advice at all, but, do you have food supplies? Do you have water? Do you have water filters? I mean, I live in the desert, and so I've got I've got a whole bunch of 5-gallon purified water that's sitting out there. I've got water filters, backup water filters, survival straws, all sorts of stuff. I had because 6 years ago, almost exactly, I was dressed up as Barack Ebola for Halloween, and so I actually am like, you know what? People are gonna think I'm crazy if I buy N95 masks and hazmat suits, so I'll just be Obama dressed up, because at the time Ebola,
yeah.
So I hope
Ebola came to the United States,
and everyone thought I was crazy for buying all the hazmat suits and an N95 mask, and then now everyone thinks I'm crazy because I'm not wearing them. And actually, I gave my grandparents the N95 mask, so I'm not.
Well, and that's a thing that like these masks, this cloth masks that they're talking about, they're totally useless, and they're literally forcing people. And of course, if you go to the BC Health and to Ontario Health, the provincial health authorities there, it says that cloth masks will not protect you from getting COVID.
Yeah, and there's one guy who actually just snoozed him on Facebook, sort of a big crypto guy. And after this next story, we do have a bunch of crypto stories coming up before we leave you guys today. But yeah, I had to snooze him. But yeah, so anyways, making sure you're good on that. Probably want some firearms, probably want some ammo, get some some gold and silver and some crypto stored on the side. But it doesn't matter if you've got $100,000 sitting in a stock account if there's no food in the grocery stores and you starve to death. Like
they started to shut down gun sales here. Like actually, Canadian Tire here, which is a massive store, it sells a whole bunch of different things from car parts to recreational things and so on. Like I don't know what they're. Maybe Menards. Yeah, they're similar to Menards in the United States. And they actually, one of the local ones here, shut down their whole gun section. There's no guns there.
I was on Cabela's like a couple days ago. I was looking at guns, and like the handgun I was looking at, they didn't have any of those in stock. Didn't have any of the shotguns I was looking at in stock. Didn't have any of the AR-15s in stock that I was looking at. Like this is Cabela, like a major retailer, like even available to ship. Like not only like just at like the local store here.
There's a lot, and it's not just guns; it's everything, Tim. Like I'm in the huge supply issues with my work, like with getting parts for my jobs that I have. So there's supply chain issues everywhere because everybody's been forced to social distance. So a lot of the plants are working at 50% of what they usually are, output. I actually bought recently, just cash. I bought, a new fridge and a new stove. I had to wait for that. Like it's supposed to come now in late November. And then we bought a new couch at home, and that is supposed to come like late December, early January. Like it's pretty insane, Tim, where we're at because it's because of the whole like government intervening in our lives and basically making lives 10,000 times harder than it is. and of course it's it's interesting, Tim, with the whole government intervention. Nobody's how about this? I like to put it on the extreme sometimes, but how about the 9 million people that are starving to death every year? Should we lock down the whole world for that? Because that's about almost 9 times more people that have died from COVID.
Well, one person dying from starvation's a tragedy. 9 million is a statistic. So, what is that? The Stalin quote: "One death is a tragedy, a million is a statistic." And then later, Marilyn Manson then had it in a song. And also see Dan O'Neill. What's up, Dan? Say what did Jefferson say about central banks? He said, "If we ever allow central banks to issue the currency and credit of the nation, first by inflation, then by deflation, we will end up homeless on the continent our forefathers conquered, or something."
Oh, well, look where we're at. Look where we're at.
Basically right there. There you go.
Like we're very, very lucky. We're in a good position, you and me. But like, there's the general public. The people that are had to extend their debt. Like they're basically stuck in limbo because the government shut the businesses that they work for, everything down. And now they're struggling to keep their lives afloat. People are mass amounts of here. They're talking about issues with mental health. A lot of people committing suicide. A lot of problems with more and more homelessness, and then of course we have massive opioid epidemic that have exploded this year because people went on what we call here CERB, which was way more than any minimum wage or any like employment insurance or whatever they had. Of course, they went and spent all that money on using that extra money to buy more drugs and then kill themselves a lot. Like we got over double the amount of overdoses in most of Canada and most cities.
That could be a great segue to not that that's ever a great segue right into Hunter Biden. Speaking of drugs and despair and despondency. We've got
Jeez,
Hunter Biden
yeah.
audio confesses partnership with China. Spy chief Joe Biden named as criminal case witness. And I'm sure all you guys have already heard all this stuff, and there's everyone else is talking about this, but we just have to mention it. But it's just so much criminality, and I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't need any more proof that the government's bad, that the government does a lot of terrible shit, and that the Bidens are criminals. I mean, all this stuff.
And I think the public is starting to wake up to that too, Tim. It's you've seen that with people being involved in actually voting. There's less and less people caring about voting because they know how corrupt and how little it means to vote anybody into presidency. We see that here in Canada. Like in Canada, it was more 35%, Tim, compared to the 55. So at least Americans are more sheep, I guess, than Canadians. But yeah, no, it's pretty insane.
No, it's absolutely insane. And Josh was sending me a link, and I was trying to read it, but somebody
I did see it.
Apparently, somebody dubbed one of our videos over in Spanish that I did with Robert Kiyosaki. But I'm just looking this up like in real time. But anyways, let me. I didn't have time to fully digest what was going on. But now we've got some of the crypto news coming up, and we got lots of crypto news. So this is coming out of Grayscale, who owns the major Bitcoin investment trust. More than half of U.S. investors interested in Bitcoin, Grayscale survey finds, and as of this print right now, we're at $13,637.93.
It's back up again.
On Bitcoin, it's back up. Ethereum sitting at 390. Of course, they have Ripple coming in at number 3, the third one that they mentioned. So
I was like, is Ripple still there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and there's this weird thing where like there was like this almost like the marriage between the Q community and the Ripple community, and that the Ripple was going to come in to have this Nasara quantum financial
the 1970s white dove
that
experiment
they trotted out back then to try to do it again. So it's it's hilarious. But I am interested to see what Josh just sent me about apparently that interview with Kiyosaki. I don't know if it was mine. I'm just gonna click on this while.
Hi, this is Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay. Anyways.
Well, I know that they started the dub actually Kaiser Report. So Kaiser Report is in Spanish. So it wouldn't surprise me that because there's a lot of smart people over in.
I'm going to talk to you about an opportunity.
It might be some Mexicans that have done this, of course. And there's a lot of people that are woken up in Mexico as well. Mexico is probably one of the countries that are least, responsive and care the least about any government intervention, because they've had to try to have this massive, hand, come down every time, the government goes in and do something. We've been down in Acapulco and seen they actually threw out the police force there because it was so corrupt in Acapulco. Then they tried to send in the National Guard or whoever it was, but nobody seemed to really care about those guys. So I think that Mexico is really, here in Canada, I would say probably the best place for any revolt is Alberta, because Alberta got just destroyed, their oil sector with, on top of, being down and struggling, they got taxed to death by the NDP government. They changed the government there now, but they got taxed and just like literally kicked when they were laying down.
We're on the crypto side of what we're talking about now. So enough about Canadian government. We're past the Canadian government and the American government. We're
let's
talking
get back
about
to
Bitcoin
some crypto.
to hopefully destroy the governments. And $1 trillion is a conservative. This is out of Cointelegraph. Market cap for Bitcoin, says Chief Investment CIO. And I didn't read this ahead. Oh, it's Paul Tudor Jones. Wow. So I didn't even realize who said that. But according to Brian, this could be the beginning of a new wave of Bitcoin buyers, according to Brian Estes, Chief Investment Officer and Managing Partner at Off the Chain Capital. Okay, well, yeah, of course, it's an investment. It's a blockchain based fund, so of course they would say that. So I mean, I just want to say that as all fairness, and it's obviously they've got a vested interest in saying that, but I do tend to believe that that is a extremely conservative market cap eventually. I'm not saying I mean, as we start printing more money, as things start deteriorating, as it gets easier and easier and easier for people to acquire Bitcoin, because it's not super easy. People don't know what to do by and large, so they'll go out and they'll go put their money into Grayscale because it's easy, and I've got clients who would rather do that than actually know how to do it the real way.
So Tim, how much do they say it's going to be?
They were just saying that $1 trillion market cap is a conservative estimate for Bitcoin.
What's the supply, Tim? I'm going to tell you exactly what it is.
So I mean, so So saying $1 trillion is a conservative market cap. So I mean that would be probably about 4x with the current, not 4x, but 4x.
Yeah, but how many coins are in circulation right now? Can you go to Coin Market Cap?
18 million.
18? Yeah. So divided by 18.
18.5 technically.
18.5. Okay, let's do it the right way here. So we got 10, one trillion.
Just multiply. I mean, do what I said. Just multiply by 4. That's the easy way of doing it. So 13,000 times 4. So I mean, you're looking at between like 50 and like $55,000 Bitcoin is which, I think.
Yeah, exactly. 55.
Yeah, and so that was me just trying to. I'm not good at doing numbers in my head, but I
no,
knew
but
the market cap was around
but actually for people, but for people that are not aware of that, easy, like that's a super easy way of predicting the price. Tim, people are surprised that I could say what the price is. You just do that. You just take the potential market cap, and then you take coins or tokens in circulation, and you'll find what's supposed to be the actual market price of a certain token or a cryptocurrency at any time. It's very, very simple. Like it's just super, super simple math that anybody could do on their calculator and then find out how much it is. So yeah, and I don't see it at all anywhere away from possible whatsoever that it's going to hit $1 trillion. Like we're at 400 billion right now. And there's no way that it's not going to hit $1 trillion. I think it's probably going to go a lot more because there's a lot of assets that are, out there right now. They're getting scared. I listened to some podcasts that were saying that, a lot of these institutionals are looking for places to protect themselves right now, and they're looking at and they're looking for the these protector assets, and of course, cryptocurrency together with gold and silver has been that. So when some of these massive funds are going and slapping down 10 billion or whatever at a time, it's pretty fast to get to that 1 trillion. You got to remember that just the gold market itself is at 7.7 trillion. Last time I checked, it's probably around 8 or even more now trillion in market cap. So there, it's totally far. It's not a far-fetched idea to go to $1 trillion at all, Tim.
Yeah, I see Charles D in the comment says at current price, how much does it cost to buy every Bitcoin left to be created? So it's about roughly 2.5 million Bitcoin left to be created. But you have to understand that doesn't happen in a vacuum. So as more someone can't just come in and be, I'm going to buy 3 million Bitcoin, because that would just send the price skyrocketing. So there is market forces here, and then and also if you were to then go ahead and get all the computing and all the hash power to then throw it at the network, that in itself would then also create the algorithm where I'm not sure where they're at now, but it's SHA-256, and so it can be exponential all the way out to the 256 curve. I have no idea. I'm just guessing right now, like 90. And that's a complete guess. So, as you start getting more and more hashing power, then it goes from a 90 to a 91 to a 92. And each one is doubling. And so it's not as simple as, I'm just going to go, I'm the government, I'm just going to print up, $20 trillion to go buy the crypto market. Because if they did that, this is the genius part of it. And it's a valid concern that people have. But if they did that, what would happen is, and I actually did talk about this on my on a podcast I just did with Charlie Robinson. It's not out yet. It'll probably be out in probably about 2 weeks or so. But what would happen is if the government did somehow do that and take over all the hashing power, then a lot of people have a record of what the previous blocks looked like before the government took it over.
And they'll just fork it. And
they fork it and be like, all right, screw you guys. You just wasted trillions of dollars for nothing like usual because you're the government and you guys.
What people don't understand is that most cryptos today are forks of Bitcoin itself. Like almost all of them,
or no, actually more so. It'd be Ethereum tokens is probably actually the bigger.
A lot of Ethereum tokens too, but like you got Monero is a offshoot, a fork of Bitcoin back in the day, right? Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV. So a lot of these currencies have just been forked over, and it's an easy way also to
are you looking for more options?
Get out of the control grid, all these morons. If they tried to pull something like that, it's called a 51% attack. I remember them talking about this all the way back in 2013 when we had our first little conference here in Winnipeg. That was the big thing that they were talking about at the time, because the actual hashing power was, like just minuscule compared to what it was. And it was only 3 tokens that existed. It was Litecoin, Bitcoin, and then it was Dogecoin back at that time that existed. Now it's like 2,000. Well, official,
that,
and then it's probably like six to 100,000. Unofficial currencies.
Yep, and what do we have coming up next? We have JP Morgan sees millennials, almost done here, guys, sees millennials' Bitcoin preference over gold as foundation for its long-term success. So isn't that funny that you've got JP Morgan, of all people, who, I will be doing a report on from Jekyll Island that I have coming out in a little while. But yeah, it's just fitting that's JP Morgan, because as our next article, it segues right into this. Large tech client uses JP Morgan's JPM coin for the first time. And so this
Quorum. That's Quorum, it's called. The JP Morgan coin. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and I wasn't sure what it'd call, but the firm has launched on it, blah blah blah. But yeah, anyways,
actually, the Monetary Authority of Singapore is trying to do something with Quorum.
Yeah, and so what they're doing, with this is it's for, it's all like interbank transfers that they can make. So it's not, really like a real sort of like crypto. And obviously, since JP Morgan is, creating it's obviously not a real type of, crypto, but it is using technologies. And it's been said, and I'll say it again, that obviously, crypto can be used to either enslave humanity or free humanity, and I've been trying to help it free humanity, but unfortunately, because of all the Ripple tards out there and other people, that they are advocating towards the controlling humanity aspect of it. And obviously,
it's because it sounds cheaper, because there's less, like, you can buy a whole Bitcoin. Like, people don't understand that you can buy
Ripple was only like $1,000, because I'm like, there's like, trillion, like, however, I forgot how many Ripple there are, like 80 billion.
Oh, and you can constantly print new ones. Right, so like the whole Ripple blockchain is it's not even a real blockchain. It's just a fake ledger.
And I don't even want to waste any more time even talking about Ripple, because I had a 3-minute video that didn't. They actually, by coincidence, the day of the all-time high of Ripple, and saying at the time, this is like this thing's like January 3rd, 2018. It was only a 3-minute Facebook Live that I did, and at the time, everyone said that Ripple is going to be $10. And I said, I hope everyone that's buying right now that thinks it's going to go to $10, I hope you lose all your effing money. And then my internet cut out, but right at that point. So, but I was going through, like one of the guys behind Ripple was also one of the guys behind Mt. Gox, the guy that actually sold the Mt. Gox to the other guy, I believe was Carpellis, I think was the guy who ended up owning it.
Carpellis.
But before Carpellis was another guy, and then and I forgot the guy's name, but it would come to me if I were to think about it for long enough. But anyways, it was that guy that knew a bunch of shady stuff were going down in that email, in that video. There's emails that go back, and I will say, if you want to know more about this, and I don't agree with this guy and everything, but Tone Vase has a really great I think he called it some sort of scam. I mean, he's always saying scam, and he's like the boy that cried scam. But anyways, he did one that was really great on Ripple back in the day that, I thought was great. And then we got one more article over here. Actually, 2 more articles. But for central bank digital currency, the first nationwide CBDC in the world has been launched by the Bahamas. So there we have it. We have the Sand Dollar, which is, a Bahamian, however, I don't know how you pronounce it, but Bahamian, can now use
Bahamian Grove?
Yeah, weaving, come not weaving spiders, or weaving spiders, I forgot what that is. But anyway, so that's interesting. I mean, I haven't, it's Bahamas, so I haven't, decided to,
the problem with CBDCs, though, central bank digital currencies, and it's not CBD, like, we're not talking about CBD oil or anything here. We're talking about something way like dangerous and toxic. Yeah, something very toxic. And a lot of these currencies are not blockchain whatsoever. They're just digital ledgers that they're trying to, create some form of currency that is, digital, that they're going to enslave us in. Because as soon as we go to those central bank digital currencies, you're going to end up with a bank account. It might look like you have your bank account with your bank, potentially, that they still have that. So, the general public doesn't see that you have your bank account directly at the Federal Reserve or at Bank of Canada. But it's going to be like that, and you're not going to be able to take out any currency to have any privacy whatsoever. And that's why it's so important, Tim, with a lot of these cryptocurrencies, that we educate ourselves on them, and that we take them and start using them a lot more. Because if you don't, we're going to get enslaved in this central bank digital currency world that is coming. No matter what everybody tried to say, they're pushing it really hard. As of late, Tim, and they're not going to slow down. They're going to, because they know that if they can't, enslave us into the central bank digital currency system, they will not be able to go into deep negative interest rates to then try to, continue the Ponzi scheme that they got going, the central banks, with the currency printing. So if they can't get us, corral us into the central bank digital currencies, that is the total end game whatsoever. Like there's no way out. If we stop that from happening, it's game over to the central banks, in my point of view.
Game over. And now here's, speaking of game over, from the other side of things, is double line. Last article here. Digital currencies will end the dollar status as the world's reserve currency. And again, double line, we mentioned this earlier, that's run by Jeffrey Gundlach, who is known as the Bond King. And that is the Bond King's company talking about this, not just some tinfoil hat wearing person. This is, one of the most respected money managers out there, and a guy that, has called a lot of things, correctly. And I do, tend to agree with that. But, we've had a lot of stuff that we've talked about today, and we'll probably cut this up and have like a separate, crypto section, and separate section on, all the stuff we talked about in the beginning, which was so long ago, I can't remember what we were talking about it. And then Josh said that I should have invited him onto this. Yeah, well, I did invite you. I thought you were going to be sleeping because I don't know how early it is. But anyways, if you guys
we don't want you on there, Josh. Come on.
If you guys are watching this as part of...
This is our show. Stay out of here, Josh.
If you guys are watching this as part of Wham, I hope you guys can subscribe to us. We're still on YouTube, so you can subscribe to the LibertyAdvisor channel on YouTube. You can also find us on BitChute, which soon we'll have all the videos up there. You can also find us on actually, sorry, I realized I was.
Let's get Josh on for next week.
Yeah, and actually, we're probably going to take a break on Tuesday because Tuesday is the election.
Oh, Tuesday. Yeah. Thursday would be the only time.
Yeah, and then Monday, we'll be back Monday for Union of the Wanted, which that should be, especially if Ed's there. So, Ed's going to be there. Will potentially be there. Sam Tripoli will definitely be there. Probably get Melody Crow. Obviously, Ricky, who's running it. A lot of big time people are out there. John's going to be there. I'll be there. And hopefully you'll be there. But anyways, I'm going to go out with a quick little ad, and hope you guys will be back. And anyways, John, what do you want to pimp? Do you want to, you got your website, theeconomictruth.org?
Yeah, pretty easy. Go to my website, theeconomictruth.org, and there you can find, of course, anything about me. You could also hire me if you want to either, go deep into economic history, try to teach you a little bit about, what the potential outcomes could be. By understanding history, you become very powerful and can win that way. So you could set that up. You could also, I'm doing blockchain consulting a lot of times. So I actually have been a blockchain advisor for 2 different blockchains. I'm still working on one called UOS, and then I still also work on one called Uberstate, which is a real estate token. And then, of course, I'm working on another project right now with another buddy down in Australia, which is pretty excited about as well, and see what we can get out of that. Then, of course, you just go there and hire me, or set me up as just, let's meet and hang out and talk, and I'll educate you on important things. You can find my books there, The End of Freedom, How Our Monetary System Enslaves Us, about 2,000 years of history of money. And then, of course, Canada, the greatest economy in the world, ? I actually have had some people tell me that, this is a book that anybody could read in any country, because it's basically very similar to, in every country around the world of what you're writing about. So very important things. And of course, you can find everything else that I do, all of my data that I put out about the Federal Reserve. Tim, I probably have some of the best data in the world, I would say, out there right now when it comes to all the different interventions.
The best data. The world's never seen data like me. It's huge. It's
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wish I was better.
If anybody wants to send John a donation for a new microphone, so we don't have to hear the static, he will be accepting those too.
Actually, I do have my good microphone, but I'm on my stupid hands-free right now, so I think my hands-free is going bad.
Sometimes the problem with the Yeti, and I've got one over here too, is that it picks up a whole lot of extra noise too. So there's all sorts of use cases for this stuff. Anyways, I'm going to leave you guys with a quick commercial. Thank you guys for hanging. We'll be back on Monday for Union of the Wanted. Potentially might do a random thing on Tuesday with, I'm probably going to be at Dr. Frank's house, so might be doing an election thing there, but not going to guarantee it. And and if not, we'll be back with the Tim and John show on Thursday. But thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe. Thank you for everyone that has been in the comments. If you guys want to get in on future comments and ask us questions, make sure to watch us live. We'll be coming live. Actually, we got a time zone change next week because I'm in Arizona, so we don't change times. So what time are we gonna do? What time is good for you next Thursday? Because
right now it would just basically I'll be on Central Time, so you'll be on Mountain Time. You can just add
Pacific Time to Mountain Time because Arizona are rebels.
Yeah, so for me, I'm just you could just think of an hour earlier for you, right? Yeah, an hour. It would be an hour early for you. That's
so
fine
like,
for me,
so
or
like
later.
So like 6 o'clock Eastern for
6 o'clock Eastern would be well, actually it'd be better 7 Eastern, because that would be 6 my time. 6 or like, so 7 or later Eastern.
Okay. Yeah, I guess everybody else.
That's best.
I hate how everybody changes and we don't change.
Yeah, I'm changing this weekend.
I wish everybody didn't change, because it's such a pain in the ass trying to schedule this time of year. But maybe because I got my brain in so many other things. But anyways, thank you guys.
Problems when government exists.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, guys.
Yeah, have a good one.
Are you looking for more options inside of your IRA, inside of your retirement accounts, and just the plain old maybe 10 choices you have, large cap indexes that you have inside of your maybe old employer 401k? Well, if so, if you're looking to do more exotic things like investing into Bitcoin where you can hold on to the private keys, we do offer self-directed IRAs. You can find out more about that at the LibertyAdvisor.com. Helped pioneer this back all the way in 2017 before the big run-up to be able to help people put them on a better path within their own retirement accounts, and let you guys invest in the things that you know about, not the things that Wall Street is just telling you to invest in, so that way they get a fee. Anyways, the LibertyAdvisor.com for more information and how we can help you and your family on a better path. Thank you.